Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our dear sisters. The message that she sent to me reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? So, Brother Nashi, I have been following you for a very long time on Facebook, but you are no longer active there. What is going on? So, I have my own confession that I want you to share on your platform. So my story goes on like this. I grew up in a family that was really poor. It was just poverty everywhere. So what I would do before I would go to school, I would go and I would sell some frozen juices at the taxi rank. In our country, we call it freeze it. And when I would be selling these frozen juices, then I used to meet a lot of people until I met this other man. I did not even know that this man that I had met, he was a satanic agent who had been sent to recruit me. I don't know what they saw in me, but there was this other day when I had gone to the taxi rank. I was just busy pushing my hustle when that man called out, and he was sitting in this other taxi. He then told me that he was on his way going to this other area which is in Masvingo called Gutu. He then bought some items from me, and he told me that he wanted to give me something. So he gave me a bracelet, and when I looked at that bracelet, he said that same time, and after he had given me that bracelet, he told me that he was going to come and collect that bracelet from me. Brother Nash, when I looked at that bracelet as someone who was already a hustler, who knew how to hustle, when I looked at it, I saw that this bracelet, it seemed to be very expensive. Already in my mind, I was thinking of going to visit some few Nigerians that I knew that have their shops in Harare, those ones that change gold. And I knew a lot of Indians as well. So these Indians, what they do is that they just run these fabric shops, and you keep on wondering as to where they get the money to pay the rent for their fabric shops, because you will see that not a lot of people would come to buy the fabrics that they will be selling. But I knew what they were doing, so they hustle a lot of money and they buy a lot of gold. When you go at the back of the shop, you will see that there will be a lot of gold there. So I knew the operations that they were running. After this man had given me the bracelet, I quickly went to this other Nigerian who was my friend, and I sold that bracelet to him. He took the mercury and he then tested the gold. This before I had gone to that Nigerian guy, I had already done a mouth test on that bracelet. So gold, when you lick gold, it is more like acid. You can just taste the acid. That is what I tasted on that bracelet, and I quickly ran to his shop. He tasted it with mercury, and indeed he said that this was pure gold. After I had sold this bracelet to that Nigerian guy, I then realized that even if I would sell that bracelet, it would always return back to me. I started to run that operation, go into a Nigerian or an Indian shop. Then I would sell the bracelet, then it will return back to me. I started making a lot of money. Then on this other day, my friend asked me, and she said that she wanted me to accompany her to town. I had refused, but I don't know why I ended up going with her to town. When we were in town, I then met this other guy. So he's like a thief. He steals phones from people, then he would resell those phones. So because of the money that I was making by selling this bracelet over and over again, I spoke with him and I told him that I wanted a phone from him. He then told me that there was this other phone that he had, so I was supposed to accompany him. It then happened that we went past through that taxi rank where I had met that satanic agent. Whilst I was waiting for that guy, since I had already given him the money, I was just waiting for him by the taxi rank. That was when I heard a familiar voice. It was that same man. And on that day, he was sitting in this other taxi, and he called me. When I walked to that taxi to the window where he was sitting, we then started to have a conversation. I saw that he was sitting with these other women that were wearing all black, and he was also wearing a black suit. He invited me and he told me that he wanted to tell me something. So I went into that taxi until the taxi was full, and when the taxi was traveling, then it had an accident. Everything happened in slow motion. When I woke up, Brother Nash, when I looked at the taxi, I don't even know how I managed to get out of the taxi. And when I looked around, there were dead bodies everywhere. Like there were a lot of people that died in that accident. It was only me who survived. So people were busy trying to rush those ones that were still alive to the hospital, and I then disappeared from the accident scene. After I had disappeared, I found myself walking back home. I looked at my body. There were no bruises at all to show that I had been to show that I was in that taxi that had that fatal accident. That is how I got initiated into Satanism. So most of the things, they are too sensitive. I cannot tell you, because so that is how I got initiated into Satanism. And most of the things, I cannot reveal them to you, because if I tell you the way that I got initiated into Satanism, unfortunately, your channels, they won't be safe, because it involves a lot of kids and a lot of sacrifices. So that is how I got initiated. After I had gotten initiated into Satanism, I was told that I was going to be given a task, but not yet. So usually when I would wake up in the morning, I would see that there will be money that will be placed in my spare bedroom. So I used to take that money, and I then lied to my parents. And one thing is that when your parents are poor, and if they find out that you are making a lot of money out of nowhere, like, they do not get angry, they will be happy that you are now assisting them. That is what happened to my parents. After they found out that I was making a lot of money, my mom then asked me, where was I getting all of this money? I then lied to my mother, and I told my mom that I was dating this other rich blesser. So this rich blesser was the one who was giving me all of this money. And my mom said it is okay. Even my father said, even if I wanted to bring this young man who was gifting me with all of this money, it was fine. And that is how I started to give my mom a lot of money, and I then managed to save the money, and I went with my mom to the city council. When we went to the city council, I then bought my mom a residential stand, and using the money that I was saving, the money that I'll just wake up and see that there'll be some money in my room. After I had bought that stand for her, I started to build a house for her. And then that man returned back to me, and he told me that it was time for me to work, for I had enjoyed. Now it was time for me to start working. So I was then given a task to sleep with this other prophet. At that time, when I started to sleep with that prophet, he was unknown. But now all over social media, if you are from Zim, you might have met him. He does a lot of prophecies on social media, and a lot of people, they believe him. Yes, he does prophesy, and most of the things that he prophesy, those things, they are for real, but you cannot see a lot of things that will happen in the future. The reason as to why, it is because of the demons that he uses. Like each and everyone that is living right now, whether you like it or not, but there is always a demon that will be following you around. This demon would have followed you from the day that you would be born. So this demon, it follows you from the day that you are born to the day that you die. So this demon, it knows you more than you know yourself. So this man, he prophesies using the demons that he got from me. So these demons, they can communicate with each other. So when you are standing in front of him, when he say, can I prophesy? When you say prophesy, then the demons will start to communicate with each other. The day when I was supposed to complete them, so this man, when I was dating him, I was told that I was supposed to make him to do things that were blasphemous before God. So on the night when I was told to go and finish up this mission, he was at church, he was alone, busy praying. I went and I visited him in his office. Even the clothes that I was wearing on that day were to make sure that he was going to be seduced. So I seduced him, and we started to touch each other. I then said, let us go into church. I have always had this desire to sleep with you in church, on the stage where you preach. I have always had that desire. So when we were busy kissing and touching each other, standing on the stage where you used to preach, and that same stage where the praise and worship used to sing and worship, then looked at that wooden cross, and I said to that prophet, please help me. And he said, help you with what? And I said, I want us to take down that cross. We then helped each other, and when we finally pulled down that cross, I then told him that we should lay that cross on that same stage, and then I undressed myself. I removed the t-shirt that I was wearing and the legging that I was wearing. I then told the prophet to tie me on my other arm using the t-shirt, and then to tie me on the other arm using that leg in, as if I was Jesus Christ who had been nailed to the cross and I was naked. This man then came. Then he started to make love to me. It was not comfortable at all because this wooden cross, it was really hard against my back, but I had to complete this mission. So when I was lying on that cross as he was making love to me, I then looked up and I saw that there was this dark cloud that descended on the church, and I saw that this dark cloud, it represented a demon that had came to possess him. That is how this man got possessed by the demon that he is using right now. It is a principality that he is using to prophesy when people come to his church, but he does not even realize that he uses a principality to prophesy, and he thinks that he is doing the good work of the Lord. This man, he has slept with a lot of women in his church because this principality, it goes hand in hand with the demon of lust. So after I had slept with him, we prayed throughout the night. Yes, we Satanists, we do pray, and when we want something to happen in the spiritual realm, we pray without even resting. When we want some things to be brought from the spiritual into the physical. This is my own confession, Brother Nashi. This man, whenever I see him on social media giving his prophecies, I always laugh at him because it is so funny. He truly believes that he is a man of God. He does not know that he uses a demon to prophesy. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our dear sister. Strange things do happen in this world. Just imagine what will make a human being to go into church and say, let us go on the stage and let us take down the cross and tie me to the cross as if I am Jesus. Then you start to make love in that position. Maybe these are just the end days.